Hello, people of the world. This is another broadcast here of Jonathan Vance and coming at you live. And today we're going to talk about three topics today: religion, politics. What was the other one? Religion, politics, and law. There we go. So I just had a short fuse there. Let's put the link in the chat for anyone who wants to join. Alrighty. So basically, I've just had this kind of thought in my head about, you could say, secular judicial system as opposed to something like Sharia law, and how the judicial system, you have all of these checks and balances, legal representation, litigation, all of these things. As well, you have the jury, which also takes time as well too, very time consuming. And these processes can be interpreted as some form of delay of justice. And there's a saying in English common law: justice delayed is justice denied. And I would like to point out that these inconsistencies within the law in terms of how it's so-called superior and its application and so-called defending of human rights and having a system of open criticism, when in fact it is actually quite on the contrary when actually applied. So basically, you have a de facto system that everyone thinks that all these laws are applied equally and fairly, and they are kind of couched in this legalese language to kind of dress it up a little bit. But really, when you get down to the brass tacks, their arguments, it's really just a cover to hide their biases when persecuting somebody that they don't like. Now, there could be cases, obviously, that this is applied in an equal sense where it's not necessarily the integrity of the state is in question as it pertains to other civil matters that might be between two private people. But when it pertains to any form of the state, obviously you're going to get some bias, and there is also political lawyers that are in play that won't take your case. A lot of criticisms people say is when you put a case before the Crown, they will talk about, well, do you have a lawyer that is representing you? The lawyer needs to represent you. And it seems as like there's this degraded concept of justice and how it applies to people, citizens of the realm, and how they can have access to justice. You're not supposed to deny access to justice, even though it does say in the Canadian Constitution that you are entitled to legal representation under the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. you still don't have the you still it's kind of inverted. It's like you still need to have a lawyer for some reason. Um, and in of itself is is um, is the hang up here. Um, but I think they use that as kind of a crux. It's like before it even goes to the judge, they'll use that as a crux, and it's not necessarily fair. But I mean, you have to look at who are these people, who are these judges, right? These judges, we assume they're fair, they're objective, they're almost like they're godlike, and they have like authority over you, and they can decide, whether you go to jail for 10 years or not. And no one, it seems to be like a taboo, like a sacred cow, to even like question like some of the judges, judgment on their cases in terms of case law and how the application is applied. And like it doesn't necessarily mean because a judge makes a ruling doesn't necessarily mean that they know the law, right? And the Magna Carta deals with different realms of people that you apply to. So when the crown denies you representation, either through the justice system, either through the democratic channels, you're right to Her Majesty. When Her Majesty doesn't make redress after 40 days, that's when you're practicing lawful descent upon the land. And when you're practicing lawful descent, you have sworn an oath to the 25 barons, and with that comes privileges, and um, and you have to cat get out of here, doing a show, and you have to uh, if you're having a trial or if you're um, dealing with the crown agent in any possible way. Um, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can use it. I've seen this before. People use this law to try to get out of speeding tickets, and that in itself kind of discredits the. They use that to discredit the application of the law when someone, or this, I guess in Canada, a lady used it to try to claim that the judge doesn't have authority. So the judge doesn't have authority to. Uh, he lacks uh, conscience because you swore an oath. That doesn't necessarily mean that in itself, right? Um, it means that you're making your argument to a higher authority, and that you don't necessarily, when you go in a courtroom, you don't necessarily have to call the judge like your honor or yeah, like the right treatment. Um, yeah, that's true, I guess. Religion makes politics law. Yeah. So basically, what I'm trying to get at here is like we have this like roundabout system that because we have, even though it says we recognize the supremacy of God in our Constitution, that doesn't necessarily mean that we recognize uh, the faith, right? Like we don't recognize um, we don't apply these laws with a higher moral value. We and this is where you know you can have all these laws and all these judicial systems and all these people in these courts and because some try to have access to justice, make unnecessary requirements for somebody to have access to justice, and in of itself, it kind of it turns into kind of a joke, you know. And I know people like to make comments about Sharia law and how it's barbaric and how it's um, unruly or it's it denies people self-representation, but really I think it's a more humane system than than the system we have now, which falsely gives you self-representation when applied. And because of lack of faith in the judicial system, make up all these laws Oh, sorry about that, guys. I just had a bit of a internet issue here, um, but I'm back now. I apologize for that inconvenience there. But you know what? Maybe what I'll do is I will look up the how judges are elected in Canada. So that would be a very interesting topic to look up for sure for the public to know. Alrighty. So, how judges can't. Whoa, that's creepy. It read my mind. Google read my mind. It just knows. It just knows. Okay. So judges in Canada are appointed, not elected. Judges of the Supreme Court of Canada, the federal courts, the appellate courts, superior level courts, are appointed by the Governor and Council by Governor General on the advice of the federal government. Let's click on it. Okay. Tenure of judges. So judges in positions that are under federal control, federal appointed judges are eligible to serve some, I'm assuming like Court of Queen bench, in some but not all provincial territory positions. Appointed judge have tenure until the age of 70. As for removal from the bench, judges have only really been removed from the bench in Canada for federally appointed judges. It is the task of the Canadian Judicial Council to investigate complaints and allegations of misconduct on the part of the federally appointed judges. The council may recommend to the federal Minister of Justice that the judge be removed. To do so, the minister must in turn get approval of both the House of Commons and the Senate before a judge can be removed from office. The rules of provincial territorial judges are similar, but they can be removed by provincial. Okay. So any so they're probably talking about like the Supreme Court of Canada here when they say that any judge should be removed that's to be approved from the House of Commons and the Senate, but the provincial judges, like the Court of Queen's Bench, say in Saskatchewan, it can be removed by a cabinet member. Interesting. So yeah, English, French. Sorry, guys. Give me a second here. Stay out. Please stay out. Sorry about that. Some cats being annoying. All right. So this is just symbolism, all that. Courts of inherent jurisdiction. The superior courts from province territories are courts of inherent jurisdiction, which means that the jurisdiction of the superior courts is more than just what is conferred by a statute. Following provincials of English common law, here, English common law principles, because the superior courts derive their authority from the Constitution, they can hear any matter unless there is a federal or provincial statute that says otherwise, or that gives exclusive jurisdiction to some other court or tribunal. Okay. Exclusive jurisdiction. And so exclusive jurisdiction exists where one court has the power to adjudicate a case to the exclusion of all other courts. It is the opposite situation from concurrent jurisdiction or non-exclusive jurisdiction, in which more than one court may take jurisdiction over a case. Okay. Interesting. Let's try to like. Interesting. So no, there is different tribunals. There is indigenous tribunals that were represented by the First Nations. So-called super tribunals listed. Some examples include National CRTC. These are all the Court of Appeals. Interesting. So yeah, it's basically that right there. So they're not the people judges; they are elected by sort of sworn oath. You know, it's very hard to get rid of them as well too after they have been appointed. So how are these judges appointed? What is their what is their loyalty? What are they? You know, like yeah, we understand that they need to go to law school, need to get their certificate, be a member of the Law Society, all that, and go through the ranks. But I mean, who are these judges, right? Like who do they serve? Do they serve the supremacy of God, or do they serve something else? That is the question of the day. But yeah, it's very interesting. I don't know. We'll see what they do here. But what's going on here? Okay. So it says here. Maybe I should go back. Go back to screen sharing. So, Supreme Court consists of 9 judges, including Chief Justice, to be called Chief Justice of Canada. All judges are appointed by a governor and council and must have been either a judge or superior court or a member of at least 10 years standing at the bar of provincial or territory. The Chief Justice is sworn as a member of a Privy Council of Canada before taking an oath of office as Chief Justice. The judges must devote themselves exclusively to their judicial duties. No judge may hold any other remunerative office or engage in any business enterprise. A judge holds office during good behavior until he or she retires or attains the age of 75 years, but is removable for incapacity or misconduct in office at that time by Governor-General on address of the Senate and the House of Commons. The Chief Justice presides over all sittings of the court at which he or she is present. The Chief Justice oversees the work of the court by designating the panels of judges who are to hear the cases and motions brought before it. In addition to his or her court duties, the Chief Justice is a chairperson of the Canadian Judicial Council, whose members include Chief Justices and Associate Chief Justices of the federal and provincial superior courts, and senior judges of the territorial superior courts. This body, established by the Judges Act, I'm going to look that up a little bit later, has mandate to promote efficiency, uniformity, and accountability, as well as to improve the administration of justice throughout Canada. The Chief Justice also chairs the Board of Governors of the National Judicial Institute. The National Judicial Institute develops and delivers various educational programs for all Canada's federal, provincial, and territorial judges. Moreover, the letters patent of 1947 respecting the office of Governor-General provided that, should the Governor-General die, become incapacitated, be removed, or be absent from the country for a period of more than 1 month, the Chief Justice or the Chief Justice is unavailable, the senior judge amongst 8 other judges of the Supreme Court will become the Minister of Canada and exercise all powers and authorities of Governor-General. Oh, wow. Finally, the Chief Justice of Canada also chairs the committee which advises the Governor-General on onwards of membership in the Order of Canada. Interesting. Seems they're beholden to the Governor-General of Canada. And if they were to, and these are the 9 here, bibliographies of the judges here. So let's go Russell Brown. So Russell Brown. Why does he have a Santa Claus? What the heck? View image. Wow, I'm definitely viewing the images of details. What the heck is this? What is he, Santa Claus? Like, what the heck, man? That's weird. Anyway. I don't know what that is. Justice Russell Brown was born in Vancouver on September 15, 1965, and raised in Barnes Lake, British Columbia. He received a Bachelor of Arts from the University of British Columbia in 1987 and Bachelor's of Laws from the Victoria in 1994. He also received a Master of Laws in 2003 and a Doctor of Judicial Science in 2006, both from the University of Toronto. He has been married since 1994 to Heidi Brown, and they are the parents of 2 children. Justice Brown was admitted to the Bar of British Columbia in 1995, the Bar of Alberta in 2008. He was an associate at Davis Company in Vancouver from 1995 to 1996. Blah, 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 all those stuff. Okay. For at least 2 years, he's an associate dean. His main areas of practice were commercial law, medical negligence, public authority liability, insurance law, and trust and estates. Justice Brown is an author of a treatise on claims under negligence law for economic loss, or a contributing author to the textbook on public authority liability, as well as an author or co-author of over 40 published law review articles, book chapters, review essays. Let's make sure nobody's here. Justice Brown presently serves on the editorial board of University of Toronto Law Journal. Okay, so this basically just goes over all his credentials, right? I mean, medical negligence. I wonder how much cases he's gonna get. Like you know, who's gonna come to him for justice, right? You know, I think a lot of people would, but are you gonna get justice? I don't know. And these people can. So the saying is, when you're making a legal argument, you want to make sure that it's nice and compact and precise as possible in attaining a specific argument. Either that would be from the Constitution or statute law. And the thing is, like most people get under the assumption that any law that is written down is enforcing on the land. Like basically, somebody from higher up writes in a law, and then like magic, it's enforceable by divine will. And that's not really how our judicial or our law system works. There needs to be it needs to be like when you're making a constitutional, when they're passing laws, it has to pass the Charter of Rights and Freedoms test, and it has to be. It goes through a thing. It's called the Oakes test, and the Oakes test determines, if a law is arbitrary or not. And one of the key um, objectives that it needs to accomplish is if there's a rational objective to a means to an end. If there's no rational objective and it keeps moving with its purpose, or if there's no law, it doesn't really set out what it was intended to do, or goal in itself, that law is not doesn't pass the Canadian constitutional rights and freedom. But it seems that we go through these legalese now, and these judges they try to impart legalese over the rationality of the law and the enforcement of the law, basically. And it's so that's kind of how maybe that's how the prosecution would, maybe like anything that's kind of arbitrary, they just try to get some legalese in there to try to prove their point. But really, in practice, these charter and rights and freedoms recognize they're God-given rights. They are divine rights. Obviously, our system is tied with the Magna Carta, and the Magna Carta has influenced democracies all across the West, and in the 63 clauses that it has been imparted. And is anybody watching? No one wants to. But anyway, I'm kind of a nerd. But so these 63 clauses have shaped our law system and our legalese, and it is not irrelevant. It's legally binding upon the crown, and it's the same thing as the Constitution. So you have the Constitution and you have the Magna Carta. The Magna Carta, if there's specific things that you can prove beyond a reasonable doubt, yes, you have to provide to the letter of Queen. You have to give her 40 days to get redress. There's no redress within 40 days. That's when you're practicing lawful dissent, and your contract with the crown has been broken. So, yeah, that's basically it. But it is boring people with With this, we can move on to something else, like politics or something like that. But yeah, I can just go on autist all day. But we'll read you a passage. Hear, O God, as I voice my complaint. Protect my life from the threat of the enemy. Hide me from the conspiracy of the wicked, from that noisy crowd of evildoers. They sharpen their tongues like swords and aim their words like deadly arrows. From ambush, they shoot him suddenly without fear. They encourage each other in evil plans. They talk about hiding their snares. They say, "Who will see them?" They plot injustice and say, "We have devised a perfect plan." Surely the mind and heart of man are cunning, but God will shoot them with arrows. Suddenly they will be struck down. He will turn their tongues against them and bring them to ruin. All who see them will shake their heads in scorn. All mankind will fear. They will proclaim works of God and ponder what he has done. Let the righteous rejoice in the Lord and take refuge in him. Let all the upright in heart praise him. Praise awaits you, O God, in Zion. To you our vows will be fulfilled. O you who hear prayer, to you all men will come. When we were overwhelmed by sins, who forgave our transgressions? Blessed are those who choose and bear near to live in your courts. We are filled with the good things of your house, of your holy temple. You answer us with awesome deeds of righteousness, O God, our Savior, the hope of all the ends of the earth and the farthest seas, who form the mountains by your power, having armed yourself with strength, who stilled the roaring of the seas, the roaring of their waves, and the turmoil of the nations. Those living far away fear your wonders. Where morning dawns and evening fades, you call forth songs of joy. Hmm. I think it's important to read those passages, especially in these times, and recognize that this is a prophecy, and that we will face persecution as followers of faith, and that do not despair. Despair is a sin, right? Despair. You don't want to despair because you will eventually give in. And if you despair, it's just basically like an insult to God. Like, God gave you life. You're supposed to be joyous and grateful. And despair takes that away. And despair can also lead into anger, resentment, apathy, and just basically an indifference to everything. And it's not a good path. No. Just realize how hard it is to do solo. I mean, 40 minutes. That's good. I got my internet cut out a little bit. That's fine. Oh, I guess I'll stop sharing. Don't need to do that. How am I with the camera on? Camera on, camera off. Camera on, camera off. Camera on, camera off. Let's see here. The chat room. Wait. Oh, man. I don't know why. It just seems like you have another person. It's just like they have a different view, and you just kind of roll with it. When you're by yourself, you kind of have to go along pretty good. But yeah. But I think I needed what I need to say. I thank you for people who participated in the chat. I will keep this open. Now, not really much I can say right now. I wish I could say more, but I can't. Need to read more. But I think what if any advice or anything like that of what I said today is that when you're approaching the system, you have to keep in mind that when you're making a claim, that you have to realize there's a lot of corruption. And this corruption is very, very deep, and don't expect to have equal treatment under the law, even though you're grown up to think that, and don't think they're applying it too equally. Don't let them get away with it. It'd be good to be educated, but keep in mind too that they could still deny you as well. And Aaron Almahood is here, and if I were to give advice to somebody who's a nationalist and who thinks he lives in a democracy, I would say that you need to tread lightly and bear in mind that. But it's very they want you to be docile. They Oh yeah, sorry. I keep my internet keeps going out for some reason. I don't know why. But Aaron, Amahud, you're welcome to come on if you like. I haven't talked to you in a while. Um, you're from Israel, and Israel is going through some turmoil right now with Hamas and their attacks. Uh, my view of Israel is it's a Zionist state. It is not, has nothing to do with the Judaic religion. If it was like a Christian state, that it would actually be, uh, according to the Bible, the Israeli borders pretty much span across Syria and almost into Afghanistan. It spreads out pretty quick. And before the Zionist settlement, because that's what it is. It wasn't a Judea; it was a Zionist settlement. Um, the Palestinians, they had Christians, Muslims, and Jews living together, and this misconception of Sharia law is that it oppresses Christians and Jews, but really, if you look at the persecution of the Abrahamic religions, it's usually between Christians and Judaism, people who practice Judaism or ethnic Jews, that face the most persecution. And where did they go? They went to the Middle East. uh, and where could practice Judaism under Muslim lands. And I would love to see that harmony under all the Abrahamic faiths, but that can only happen with the reversion to the natural religion, which is Islam. Recognize all the Abrahamic prophets and zero idol worship and zero conflict. I think what it is I think God came up with Islam because he saw how the Christians and the church, the Catholic Church, was practicing, and the priests basically co-opting salvation through them, through prayers to dead statues. And he was really mad about that, and so he came up with Muhammad. And I'd say Muhammad, descendant of Ishmael. Even in the Bible, it does talk about Ishmael, and Muhammad is descendant of Ishmael. So Muhammad is of the Word of God, and he did promise Ishmael kingdoms as well. And they described Ishmael as a very hot man, a very hot-headed man, a man of kind of restlessness and trouble wherever they may be, and it's like a spirit of of rebellion, I guess, to the kufr ways. Kufr meaning kufr is saying a lie and hiding the truth in some way or fashion, and being confronted on it, but still not recognizing the truth even when confronted with it. So there's a lot of kufr out there today, and that's a problem. But yeah, solo today. I know you guys like the the political blood sports, which is good. Sometimes it is needed. But I would say Sharia law is superior to secular judicial law. I'll just say that. And I don't care what you say. See, look, moving the camera right now. Sharia law is superior to secular judicial law. There, I said it on camera. Look, there's my face right here. There's my ugly face. You saw my lips move. I swear by Allah. Allahu Akbar. So, what I'll do is I'll do a prayer to end the stream. If nobody wants to come on, I'm going to do a prayer right now. Okay. I'm doing a prayer. Come on my stream and we'll do the prayer, we'll do the posturing. We'll posture for Allah. Allahu Akbar. I don't know why I want to. Hang on, give me 2 seconds here. I just want to change my shirt. Give me 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds, guys. 2 seconds. Hang on. Let's do some shit. Sorry. Sorry, Allah. I swore. I didn't mean to swear. Yes, read books, stay in school. That's my CD. I hope you guys got some really good content from this. Now this might be a little bit weird because I'm on uneven ground here, but I just want to change my shirt here, and we're gonna finish this off with a prayer, and this is a prayer that you. This is the first 8 verses of the Quran recited in Arabic. And then, so maybe I'll just do the whole process on stream here. I'll just show you how everything, well, I have my laptop here. But anyway, so basically you have to so I'm doing the prayer right now. So you have to make sure you wash your hands up to your elbows. Let's pretend that there's water here, right? And then you wash your feet. You get in between the toes and all that, right? And then you wash your face, right? Make sure it's good and rubbed off behind the ears, all that. And then one last thing you do is when you're doing wudu is you put one layer of water, just make it wet. You don't have to wash or anything like that. Just one layer of water like that, and then you're good to go. So now what you do is, so I'm just going to do the prayer. So stand up, put your hand back, say Allah, Allah. Say the first two, not the first 2 verses from the Quran, but you say the first 2. Well, usually sometimes what you do is you say the whole thing, and then there's a prayer that you say when you're going down like this. And then once you stand up. So you go Allah Akbar, and then you have your arms crossed like this, right? You have your arms crossed like this, right? And then you say the verses in Arabic, Subhanaka Allahumma, and then once you're done saying that, you say another prayer as well. You say usually say Simyallahu liman hamada rabbana walakal hamd, and then you go down for the posture, right? So you go down to your knees. Oh, sorry. You want to make sure you go down to both of your knees. Don't go down one knee at a time. Two knees. Two knees. That's very important right there. And then you go down to the posture, right? You don't say anything, right? You're still going down. You go down like this. And then, sometimes what I'll do is I'll say part of the salah, and then I'll go down, and then I'll say the second half of it sometimes. When you're at the mosque, usually what they'll do is they'll say the whole thing, and then they'll go down. Assalamualaikum. And sometimes if you want to make a prayer in your language, you can too. So basically you hold up like this. Say, dear God, I pray for abundance, wealth, and good friends, right? Make sure you do it with meaning, right? Like make sure you mean it, right? And so you do that, and you can just sit there a little bit. And then sometimes you can go back down again. You can say another verse. Sorry, botch that a little bit. But you can say another verse, right? And then you stand up. So usually you do that a couple times, and you just get you kind of pick. You always do the first 8 verses, right? So the first 8 verses, I will do that, right? And then you always do that the first, and then you always do something second, right? And the thing is you're trying to. The purpose of this is trying to memorize the Arabic verses in the Quran, so God will accept your prayer, right? So I'm going to do the first 8 verses of the Quran. So this is the prayer that you do all the time, no matter what. You do this 5 times a day, and you have to say this, right? So, all right, I'm going to do it. Okay, here we go. All in real time. So I'm not stopping. All right. Okay. Allah Akbar. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika wa tabaraka ismuka wa ta'ala jadduka wallahi la yaruk. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rahim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin, iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal lazina umtalim yero madubi alayhim wala dalin. Amin. Bismillahu liman hamada rabbana wa lakal hamd. Assalamualaikum. All right. And then you stand up again, and that's how it goes. Alrighty. So no one wanted to come on. Oh dang. Oh well. You got a good show out of it. So thank you guys for coming on. Got a little bit of religion, got a little bit of politics, got to see a prayer in real time, and yeah, I hope that it was very educational. Until then, we'll see you next time.